it's always been it's always been a love, a sweet. It's always been a sweet kind of feeling. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I don't know if you've ever found someone who you hate the same things with. Have you ever found they automatically become kindred spirits? It doesn't have to be another person.
Similarly to a person who you like the same things with.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
And there's this, and this is just my opinion. I believe hate is a stronger emotion than love. Okay. Let me break it down. Some of the best sex I've ever had in my life came from love-hate. Yeah. And I'll say sex because it's animalistic, it's a physical thing that you do. And this thin line between love and hate is you can never really be sure which side you wake up on the side of it, because you might hate someone but you have them in your life. You need them in your life. So I wanted us to talk about the dynamics of hate.
Okay.
And how as humans, how we propagate it or how we understand it. Especially between the sexes. Yeah. And growing up, a lot of us, and I think you can attest to this, growing up, many of us never really, from a young age, even when you're a kid, I don't know if we can call it hate. It's not hate. It's usually just a reaction that is born from selfish nature. And selfish nature, we are born with that. Yeah, it is in tune with who we are. It's animalistic. Mine. I want. It is for me. And when someone else has something, you're like, what the hell? Why can't I get a piece of that? We even have this in the monkey world. Yeah, there was this story where there were monkeys which were closed in an enclosure. And there was this one guy who had raised one of the monkeys. And the birthday of that monkey, this guy brought the monkey a cake. This one monkey. And the other monkeys. And then the other monkeys started going wild. Like, why the hell
Is
does
this
he
one
get cake?
Yeah, and we don't.
And we don't.
Yeah.
Guess what they did? The next time when these monkeys were let loose, I don't know if they were let loose or they escaped. They all went for this guy. They beat off his fingers, ripped out his dick, beat his face off, his nose, and they mangled him. All because, where's our cake, bro?
Jealousy.
Why does this guy get cake and we don't?
Jealousy.
Why do you get to determine this? So I wanted us to break down hatred, especially for us men, because for us, hatred and violence usually go
hand in hand.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Not always, but
Not always, but more often than not.
Sometimes, yeah.
And for us, hatred usually comes from something, especially when we grow up. It has to be something that is understood. This guy did ABCD, either to me or people I know. I hate him. It is never just because someone looks a certain way, someone has something that we don't have.
Yeah, it's not that.
But do you know, for the opposite sex, it is exactly that.
You could even say it's petty.
It is petty, but that's what makes them who they are.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. With men, hatred is not a word that is easily tossed around. The same with love in some sense. But when it's used, it's because there is a strong case for it. Yani, the person really deserves it. So, and in most cases, you find that individual who is the recipient of this hate must have done something to party A, something that really hurt them badly. Superficial things or feelings are not really involved in it. They have to be tangible.
They don't really.
It has to be a tangible thing whereby you were hurt, or they caused direct harm or malicious intent. So, well, yeah, I get it. And with men, it really just mostly comes down to either the guy did something to hurt the people you care about, or somebody went out of their way to try and kill you or hurt you, or maybe they tried to affect your livelihood, something along this nature. To me, and maybe this will be cause for controversy, but I actually find the concept of hate among men to be a calm and rational thing, because once it happens, you can almost be sure that the reason is legitimate. I'm not saying I endorse what comes after it, because some people might have strong reactions because of it, but you can almost bet, you can also have a sure bet that if a man hates another man, it's a legitimate reason. Now, with the fair sex, it could be that, but more often than not, it's usually petty things.
It's a million
which is why
petty
you've had these, and I've also experienced it in my life with the women in my life. A lady comes and tells you she hates another lady, and when you listen to the cause of it,
it's not really.
You simply dismiss and say that's nonsense.
You can't even term it as hate.
Because usually you find the reasons is, well, she said one thing, and then I said another, and then we threw some words, and that's nonsense. With men, if a man talks like that, you just say he's an idiot. I dislike him. I don't want anything to do with him, but it's fine. You don't hate him. With ladies, it's almost feral, like a cat.
It's animalistic.
When you see when cats stray into each other's territory, especially feral cats. And then their hair is standing up, they're covering their backs, and they're ready to fight.
It's like the world is coming to an end.
But really, the reasons are quite ridiculous.
So
in that sense, it's more like that. So unless maybe if you want to touch a personal example, perhaps.
No, I do have one. Growing up, when I was a kid, my dad was my hero. Like, this guy could do no wrong, because he was the only parent I knew. And I think from just being a kid, just seeing how he carried himself, because he was a single guy. He was a handsome guy. He used to get a lot of ladies around him, a lot of ladies. And he had cars. He had 2 cars, if I remember correctly. He was doing well. He was doing well in life. And for a young mind, a young child, that's a hero. You know. Everyone is around your dad. Everyone wants to hang out with him. And I was like, hey, it kind of rubbed off on me a little bit too. I was like,
who doesn't want that?
Everybody wants that.
It's true.
And when I started understanding, what the world is, and I started seeing him as a man, not as this deity that could do no wrong. That's when I started hearing things. Oh, your dad did this, your dad does this. And the number one thing that came to mind was, you're all wrong. I don't give a shit what you say. My old man can do no wrong. So I just brushed them off, even in my own mind. Because these things, you start seeing them with your own eyes. He was a womanizer. He was that guy. He was, these old men. He was the guy. And as I continued, maturing, that's when this disillusionment
really set in.
Yes. And I can honestly say there was a time I hated him. There was a time I couldn't stand his guts. I even just looking at him, I just wanted to punch him in his face. And I was still I think I was in primary school.
So what caused the disillusionment?
Just life.
I
think the veil was the veil of being a child was removed.
Something had to cause that.
Yes.
What was it?
My grandmother died. God rest her soul. She was the best woman I ever knew. And it was a long process. She had a liver cirrhosis. Her liver was really messed up, and she suffered for a minute. And he never came to see his own mom, and not even a phone call. And I remember, because I was in class. Was it class 8? I don't remember well. It was in class 8. I could already see what life is. So I would just go and sit down. I would be like, okay, I've never had a mom. If I had a mom, no way in hell I would do this. And I was still a kid. I would be like, why would anyone do this? I even tried to make up scenarios in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe something happened to him when he was young. I have to understand that side as well. But I didn't want to understand because he was already a grown man.
Yeah.
You know? And his mom, to my understanding, had done her best. You know, he was still alive and he had 2 kids of his own.
Yeah.
So why couldn't he come see his mother? Even as she was on her deathbed, you know? And I think that was the first time I really understood like hatred. Because, and I hope I can describe it well. It is extreme indifference. You know, it's a sort of detached.
I know what you're describing is apathy.
Yes.
The sense where it doesn't, you've detached completely to the state that you don't even love them, you don't even hate them. It's as if they don't exist.
No, they were, because you will still show up and I will still talk to him, but seeing him, you know, the way I used to see him when I was young, he was this
great guy.
My dad was like a goddamn billboard in my life. And after that, he was like this small ant that I felt I could crush or wanted to crush, wanted to make him disappear. And I really wrestled with this because as I understood my, or I didn't really understood because I was a kid. I didn't want to understand. The same sort of what will I use? Because in my mind I believed he hated his mother. Because the only reason you would do that
is
if you hate your mother.
Yeah.
So in correlation to that, this guy hated me too. You know? So because where my grandmother was, that's where I was.
Yeah.
So if you can't even see your own mom when she's on her deathbed,
probably
what fucking option what option do I have?
Yeah.
What part do I play in this man's life?
Yeah.
That I could actually say, yo, that's my dad. It reached a point where I didn't even want to be seen next to him. I've never told anyone this, ever. And when because after how many years? It was after, I think it was 4 years or 3. I'm sorry I'm getting this wrong.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I think it was 4 years. He also passed away. Yeah. And the moment I was told, the first thought in my mind was, thank God. Yeah, I'll never forget. I wasn't sad. The moment I was told, I was, thank God. Finally. This guy finally gets what he wants. What he wants. I didn't say that because he died. I say that because he wasn't living for anyone. I think he had given everything he had to give, and he felt like he was in everyone's way, you know. And I know to know I didn't play any, I didn't help or alleviate that pain for him, whatever he was going through. I didn't help to alleviate that. God damn it, I was a kid myself. But when I went to see him, because he died in his house, and we had to go get his body, take him to the mortuary. So we went into the house. I also went. I was in college, I think.
Yeah,
I think I was in second year.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, second year.
Yeah.
So he was there, just laying there in the bed, you know, like foam on his mouth. People dying is grisly, bro. And I just looked at him, and all that anger, all the indifference, it just melted away. I felt as though just there was this wash of emotion that I never even thought I had. And I will never be able to explain what it was, because I don't know what it is. It just washed it all away, and I was left with this image of him as a perfect dad again. I don't know if it was a coping mechanism so that I can deal with his passing, because he was the only parent I ever knew. But even to date, because before he passed, he had called. He said he wanted to see me. I was like, nah, nigga, nah. That time passed. Just there had so many things that happened that, looking back now, they seem trivial. But back then they were not. They were not trivial. They were major. They were major. And that hatred caused me to not even be able to give him that last
courtesy, I guess.
Yes, that last courtesy. And I think me now being grown, I usually hear a lot of people say, I hate my mom, I hate my dad. Yeah, my dad has never been there for me. My dad is always fighting with my mom. Oh, my mom, she never cares about me. All she cares about is drinking, blah, 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 blah. You know these things. And whenever I hear someone use that word, I hate. You know, hate is final. In its purest form, hatred is, if you would die, that would be great. If you would stop to exist where I'm at, you would actually help me remove this negativity from myself. And you are the one causing it to yourself, but you attribute it to this other human being just living their life. You know, that is the selfishness of hatred. And you believe it so strongly that feeling of a pain in your gut that just eats away slowly at you. You know, your mind tells you, imagine it's this person. Imagine you're feeling like that because of this person. And that's the biggest lie that I came to realize when I grew up. It's and if I could help anyone here, because we don't choose our family. We don't have a choice there. And if you could just remove yourself from that self-need to crush yourself with this overbearing, soulless, and it's I can't even call it an emotion, bro. It's like a darkness. That's what it does. Hatred. It creeps up. This is how hatred works. Hatred comes at you like a defense. Have you seen Samurai Jack? You saw the part where he had lived, I don't know, for 500 years. He let the beard grow out, and it's like he had this person on his shoulder. It wasn't hatred.
The dark side of him.
That was so full of anger. It was like, why are we still here? Now but now it is inside you, and it is part of you. And every time it rears its ugly head, it's like, look at me here again to defend you again. Why can't you defend yourself from this evil, horrible... And mark you, half the time, or 90% of the time, that person has no clue
about what's going on.
You've just created this monster in your own psyche that you think is helping you, but it's actually feeding on your happiness. And before you realize, you find that, and I'm talking about the purest form of hatred, you always find that, number one, you even forget how to love. You forget how to be happy. You even forget what is supposed to make you happy, because it is all consuming. Everything about you becomes that hatred,
that feeling.
It's just like racists back in the 50s, the white people. They knew they had to hate black people. They didn't know why. And they started, straw man excuses, like, oh, they're not really human. Look at their skull. Look here. This means that, and
it's bollocks.
Look at their hair. Look, we hate them. them.
Yeah.
Dude, why do you hate? If you really think about it, is it something that you feel you don't have, they do? Or it's actually a legitimate reason to hate someone?
Yeah.
And I've, because a lot of people actually have told me with therapy, I don't know what, for those days, but the older I get, the more I realize that I was supposed to feel like that. I was supposed to do all those things. I was supposed to foster that monster of hatred inside of me, because it had been with me for so long. Even from a young age, it just grew. It grew with me, and it changed me. It did. It really did. It changed me, because I couldn't trust. Trust for me, no. That was a no for me. Because it was umesahau, you've forgotten what happens. That was it now. You've forgotten that I'm the only one. Who cares? Look at, and you'll be just a normal person. Look at this one. What do you think they will do? The same shit that other horrible motherfucker did.
I think it's that way because the place that maybe your dad had in your life was very high. It's great, probably the greatest place. So once he sort of fell from that height, then if it really comes down to this kind of reasoning, if the best in my life, my dad, did this, that in my mind I believe is hate, then what do other people who I barely know, or just know for a short time, they'll probably turn out the same. And that's what true. It does, and that's hence why, if you remember our last conversation, we were talking about social structures in our lives. They will determine these emotions.
100%.
Because
100%.
Because you just mentioned something that I think I beg to differ, because you said that you believe it was something you had to go through. Now I can understand the value of that, because it allows you to understand everything that you went through, and now that you've come on the other side, you've learned a valuable lesson. But I wager that had your father perhaps things turned differently and he started taking an interest before it was too late, a bit earlier on, if he'd had pushed, and even if you'd rebuffed, even if he had pushed some more, at some point you'd have said, yes, okay, fine, let's meet. And he'd have met you once. No. Just hear me out.
Okay,
like I said, before it was too late. You know, there was by that time in college, it's a bit late.
Yeah, that
but
was...
if he'd tried this in primary or even in high school, there was still hope.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's what I mean.
A lot of
That's
hope,
what I mean, while before it was too late. If he tried that then, he could have changed all that. And perhaps then you would have even confronted him and said, why on earth didn't you come to be there with grandma? And they either had given you a legitimate reason perhaps that you didn't know, or have told you the truth. I was maybe dealing with some shit, and I was a horrible human being. That thing that hurt you, it gnaws at me every day. I can't even sleep right. And that would have even softened your heart. Not to say, okay, fine, I let it go, but you'd have known it's not as though he doesn't feel. It hurt him. But later you'd have said, perhaps, well, it's over and done. I loved grandma. That's what I gave to her. Dad will have to deal with his own feelings, but at least he's not a monster who doesn't feel. You get what I'm saying? So there was a chance.
There was I won't refuse. But
continue.
Yeah, do you know why I say I was supposed to go through it?
Yeah.
I have such a deep understanding of hatred. Such a deep understanding of hatred, because I know now, having wrestled with all this regret, especially regret that came after, you know, hate put you in a box, but regret always comes after. And I had to wrestle with that. I had to sit myself down, you know, because I couldn't walk around thinking that oh, woe is me. Oh, look at what I've gone through.
Yeah.
No one else
Yeah.
has gone through shit like this.
Yeah.
People go through what?
that's true.
Every day.
Yeah.
So I had to sit down with myself and ask myself, what is it that you actually want? Do you want to keep latching on to this? You want this to define who you are? Because to a point, trauma defines a lot of people. A lot. And it varies. People who are molested when they are kids, it defines who they are. It defines their sexuality, both men and women. But some men become very violent because of it.
Yeah.
Some women become very loose because of it.
Yeah.
They see themselves as worthless because of it.
Yeah.
So when you carry hatred for a long time, it becomes you. Even when you meet people who don't know you, you know, people who come with the best of intentions, they see, oh, you look like an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Automatically, the first thing they see, hey, there's a darkness to this guy. There's a major darkness.
Yeah.
And what follows that? Yo, it was nice to see you. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I gotta go hang out with people who can actually smile and bring some positivity into this world. And you know, I started experiencing that with some people.
That isolation.
Yes, yes. And before I removed that monkey, that voice was like, you see what I did for you, huh? So imagine huyo ungemwacha
and they're walking
angeingia hapa.
Yeah. They'd have left you, and you see now they've done it here. They'd have just done it down the road
to stab you in the invested. Look at you, ulikushaanza kuongelesha watu hapa, trying to be nice. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Ebu close that door. Ebu rudisha ile padlock nilikuwa nimeweka. It was literally like that.
Yeah.
And once you become cagey like that, you actually start looking for reasons
push people away
and to hate. Yeah, not just push, to hate. Because before you push someone away, you need a reason to push them. So you'd go like, oh, no, maybe you're chilling with some people, then someone says something off the cuff, say a horrible joke, just random, you know? Sijui nini, and then in your mind you're like, the fuck? Why would that guy say that? And then a normal person would be like, yeah, you play too much, nigga. Oh, you're kugonga wewe, and then you'd laugh it off. Do you find yourself umeenda umekaa peke yako, you are, so what does this nigga want? Oh, he thinks I'm weak, huh? Okay, I'll show him. And then you start this scheme of hatred where you actually think you can win something because you've carried this emotion that has been just compiled from horrible shit that you haven't dealt with, and you bring it to this guy's doorstep who just made an off-the-cuff joke, off-color joke, and then you bombard this dude with all your negativity and
I can just imagine
dude
that.
ends up like, bro,
where did that come from?
And I believe, bro, when you see, you know, there are a lot of men actually. You might actually step on a guy's toe, Evie. Kidogo tu. A guy will beat you to a bloody pulp. Guy will leave you without teeth. Guy might even kill you because you stepped on his shoe. That's how that happens. Because it has nothing to do with you.
You're bringing strong emotions from other events in your life and
you're just a poor
just a poor guy who stepped on his shoe.
And I think this affects men a lot because for women, I believe, when it comes to strong emotions like that, they have an outlet. Women can cry, you know, and they just release it
quite easily. Men bottle it up a lot.
We do, and it's a major cause of why we die. Actually, that's why most of us at 45, this nigga kills over while he was drinking tea because he couldn't say a puppy was cute.
Yeah.
And I believe there's such a big conversation to be had here. And as much as I understand that, yeah, we need to keep stuff to ourselves, because when you open your mouth and say things as a man, they can be used against you. You know, especially things that affect you negatively.
Yeah.
You know, people might go, kumbe huyu anakuanga nut case. I must stay away.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of men, and I've seen it. There are a lot of men out here walking around with masks, like huge masks. Some guys have 3 masks. All that because, maybe a dude got touched when he was 10 years old.
Yeah.
He never dealt with it. So now every time when he's a grown man, he has to remove this feeling of weakness. He has to impose it on people he perceives are weaker than him, to feel as though he has gotten some power back.
Yeah.
And you know how negative and how horrible that is.
Yeah,
and that's how we keep perpetuating this. I always try to imagine this. I try to imagine if I did this with my son. You know, if I had carried on this dark hate, and when I had him, I was like, where did this nigga come from? What does he want? I don't want to be anyone's dad.
Yeah.
When I meet him, I treat him like he ain't shit. You know, he would grow up with that as well. The same thing
It will continue.
I grew up with would be perpetuated just because I couldn't deal with those negative emotions, with that hatred I had harbored for so long.
Yeah.
And another reason to do this is there's this saying that if you don't deal with the things that hurt you, you will bleed on people who didn't catch you. And it is so true. It is so true. I have bled on so many people, bro. So many people who didn't deserve any of that. And half the time, I didn't know why I did it. I didn't know. I had no clue. It's like there was this, and this is why now fear comes in, because once you foster that darkness and you keep it and you feed it, you feed it years in, years out, just feeding it, you know, it reaches a point where it takes over. Bro, I'm not lying. There were times back in the day I would get drunk and I would just lose time. And I know this is a psychological thing. I know this is actually something that happens to people.
Lost time.
And I know it's actually a phenomena. And it's a psychological and it's a clinical thing where and it's usually induced by booze, where you drink and you get so drunk that there's a time lapse and you just wake up.
And then people are like,
why'd you do that?
Yeah.
And then you're like, do what? And then people are, what are you talking about? Chalo, ulienda ukaanzisha mavita huko, sijui ukadunga nani kisu, ukaenda pale ukapigana sijui na nani. Look at your face, bro. Look at your nose. Look at your shirt. Unaangalia chini hivi shirt imejaa damu. And you have zero recollection. Sa hiyo ukiambiwa the things you were saying, the things you were doing, you just sit down, you're like, how the fuck
did I do that? Or where did that come from?
And that is what happens. And I hope there are guys who are listening to this and are on the cusp of that. Because once you reach that level and you do not deal with it, death can come like that. I'm not even lying. Just like that. Because I was told in one of those blackouts, bro, I ended up in jail. Yeah, it was just jail at kawaida. And even in there, I started up shit.
No.
Yeah, I did. Niggas beat the living shit out of me, like 10 niggas. So naamka hapo jela in the morning, ndo hiyo my shirt imejaa damu hivi yote. And niggas wananiangalia like, dude, what the fuck? ulikuja hapa unatupigia kelele, unatuamsha hapa, unatupiga hivi tuamke, ati utupigie hapa sijui salmon sijui ya nini.
Sorry for laughing, but
it's funny. It's fucking funny because I laughed. We laughed with them.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal. We laughed.
Yeah.
Hey, wakiniita hapo Mr. Englishman sijui nini. They beat the living shit out of me, bro. They did. And I did not remember anything.
Yeah.
I didn't remember what I said. I didn't even remember how I got there. Ndio nilikuwa naambiwa nilishikiwa sijui kwa barabara huko. Ati nilikuwa natembea na karao, ameniweka pingu, natembea tu hivi kwa road na yeye people out. I'm like, I have no recollection. Natembea katikati ya barabara, anaenda ananichukua, ananishika, ananitoa. It was crazy, bro.
Wow.
And I could have never thought in a million years. I could have never thought I would do that.
Yeah.
Ever. It's like I can't even call it an avatar experience because I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I have no idea who was on the wheel. No clue. But I wasn't there.
You were operating subconsciously.
Yeah. And now that subconscious is what I feared the most because I didn't have control. So I sat down and I started thinking, did I create this? Is this a monster of my own creation? Did I will this person into being because I didn't want to deal with some things? And that's the only thing that makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah. It was crazy.
It's crazy.
It was crazy. Nigga, I even started watching how much I drink.
Yeah.
I never used to do that. Dude, we could drink all night. We could drink all night and twice on Sunday. It would be good. We'd have fun.
Yeah.
We'd go mark on chicks. You'd have a great time. Now, I have no clue what will happen.
Yeah.
So I started embarking. I started embarking on a journey inward. Because that's the only way. I stopped caring what other people do with their lives. I stopped blaming people for just living their life. Because, hey, nigga, for how long will you do that?
True.
For how long?
Yeah.
Blaming everyone for you being what you are. And you are responsible for who you are.
Yeah.
And that journey inward, especially if you let this monster grow that long, it's a difficult one because you are looking for something you don't understand. And after going through that, that's when I started understanding all these guys you find, these drunkards who sleep in the mitaros. You see these guys mse asubuhi amegongwa kichwa, akona matope kwa kichwa, but it looks like they were wearing nice clothes yesterday.
Yeah.
So unapata mse kwa club ameshika chupa hivi anataka kukata watu waue. I used to think those guys were demented. I used to think they were the scum of the earth. I used to believe that until it was me. And then I was like, fuck. Fuck. What the fuck is this? And because we are very proud. Men are very proud. I wouldn't say that I have a handle on it because I don't. Because I still haven't diagnosed it, to the fullest extent. I still don't understand that, okay, is this only brought by booze? Can this be brought by something else? Does it mean I'm mentally unstable? You have to ask yourself some very difficult questions.
Yeah.
Does this mean I'm damaged goods? Does this mean I'll never be happy? Does this mean I cannot keep a relationship? Does this mean if I live with a woman, she'll be in danger? So when we talk about hatred, especially for men, it is such a... And it's a small thing. When it starts out, especially... And we should talk about this. Hatred for self. Self-hate. We should. I'll want to hear your thoughts on it. Especially that, when you just let it, but no one has ever given a fuck about me. So why should I give a fuck about myself? I ain't worth nothing. I can't do shit. You know, and you just continue perpetuating that slowly, and you have a monster of your own.
It's true. It's true. This is a dark road once you get down it, and
I would never wish it on my worst enemy, man.
Yeah, it's not something actually that's it's even beyond ugly, man, because it affects everything. The worst thing is, it sort of leaves you in a place like the Joker, sort of like in an alternate reality.
Yeah.
Sort of like in your head, say they're made up. You're not sure, but its effects are real.
Yeah.
So you end up doing things so that by the time you actually wake up or you start healing, you wonder, number one, any of the connections maybe I made real? Did I lose things because of this? Of course you did. But you know, those kinds of questions, it's almost as though you were plugged into the matrix and now you're awake. And now you have to start dealing with the consequences of everything you did. But yeah.
And bro, this affects a lot of guys. Young men.
Yeah.
Bro.
Because we're all coming from damaged families. That's the problem, you see.
It's just levels.
And it's just you're right, it's a matter of levels. Yeah, so for someone...
But let me take that back. It's not levels. It's just a matter of how people, the tolerance and how they deal with it. Because there are people who, their biggest, the biggest hurdle they've ever gone through, dad bought me a BMW instead of a Mercedes. Now I can't hang out with my friends. They don't want to go out with me because all of them have Mercedeses and I have a BMW. I want to kill myself. Dude, it happens.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. So yeah, and
those kind of people just be smacked in the head.
Dude, it happens.
Yeah, I know, but these are not problems.
Hey, hey, that's Kyalo and Vic.
Yeah,
we're talking about hate. Yeah, I hope you guys like it. Yeah, we'll see you on the other one.
On the other side.
On the other side. Yeah, peace
yeah,
out.
We're out. Okay.
Hey, that was nice.
Yeah.